this thing started.
So what's like? How do you want to
go about it when you want to go about it?
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Because I only got a few players.
This team. Well, I just went to this NFL.com, John. I screenshotted each team.
Yo, I did the same thing. I literally did the same thing, bro. I literally just said, all right, Dolphins. All right.
Braves on here too. So yeah. I feel like I got the same grade.
I wrote a few notes too, you know, a little back and forth action, you know.
Yeah, I got some notes on my phone.
Notes versus notes, nigga.
We ain't making the same grade.
No, but it's a regular paper, bro. You know what I'm saying? Pen without a top, you know what it is.
The man got the Mead notebook.
Welcome to the Let's Be Real podcast, where we are regarded to as the Starting Five. We are powered by the Binge Podcast Network, and we are sponsored by Overtime Heroics. Let's be real about the 2020 NFL draft.
Thank God.
AKA Love
God for
Hurts.
the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So,
AKA Love Hurts.
Thank God. Okay, I'm right along with you, brother. I'm right there with you.
Nice.
I decided to break this up a little bit. Instead of us just talking about our favorite teams, I decided to assign us different divisions so we can cover this whole NFL. And I decided to we got 3 AFC fans with me, Scott, and Trevor. We got 3 NFC fans with 2 Savage and Sheedy. So I decided to make us swap conferences to make even more of them. I also saw some more bias they could see because someone asked a question about who our second favorite team is this week. So, hey, before you step further, make sure, Savage can't cover what Andy Reid is at. She can't cover the North. He can't cover the Ohio teams. 2 can't cover the Browns. I was trying.
Why not?
I think she gave Scott the NFC West because the doggone 49ers. God,
You should.
messed up.
Oh, you didn't give him that?
Yeah. Over the North. Hey, you in trouble now. It's too late now.
We got notes, my boy.
Yeah,
we got notes, cuz.
We got notes.
So, I started first. I have the NFC South.
Okay.
So, I go through my team. Of course, one of the teams is the fans of 2. It's the Carolina Panthers. So I will start with them. They made history, drafting all defensive players. So that was the first pick was Skyler's boy, Derrick Brown from Auburn, defensive tackle.
Hey, my boy, yeah, but he close too.
He was. They have Penn State DN, Yete Gross Matos.
Matos.
Yeah. I think he's good. I know him.
Hey, they said the Panthers released a thing that said when you look on the back of an internet router, that's the name you'll see.
They
killed it with that.
But yeah, the other players to sign, cornerback, safety, bubble safeties, couple cornerbacks, defensive tackle. So overall, NFL Network gave y'all grade an A.
As they should.
Yep. Actually, like I said, some of the players I know. I ain't gonna lie, say I know the rest of the players out from the first 2 on this list. But I know Kenny Robinson from West Virginia. He's good too. So I could say I'm probably not gonna really give a grade. I'm just gonna say which team I think had the best draft out of the division. Just a lot of grades go around. You can definitely get everybody A's and B's because I see A's and B's about everybody on the board. Really can't. really want to know after they play. But overall, I think y'all did really good. Let me go through the other NFC South teams before I make my decision though too.
I did great, bro. We got an A. That's all I'm worried about.
Garbage ass Falcons.
Yeah. I like them honestly. I really forgot about the Falcons.
Independent Network gave them a B+ for their draft grade. They got in the first round Clemson cornerback AJ Terrell.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
he got work.
He won really. Yeah,
he got work.
I saw him play this year when they played against some quality opponents.
He got work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what the
That's championship game.
In the second round, they got Martin Davidson, who the Titans were looking at. So that was a good one from Auburn, defensive tackle. So any defense line you get from Auburn is good. Like I said, the rest after that, I probably don't really know the rest of the players on the list. So I don't know. I give it incomplete on my end. They not put this way. Panthers, y'all better than Atlanta on their end. I got you. All right, New Orleans Saints.
We better than period.
Yeah, I mean y'all are, but we'll see. We got the New Orleans Saints. I think they had a good draft. They got a center from Michigan in the first round. And
Big Ten lineman. Yep. That's
nah, there you go.
right.
Yep.
I don't know how this might fail. I think he ended up falling to the third round. Zach Bond.
Like Bond. Yep.
Wisconsin linebacker.
Yeah.
Man, they got him. I mean, he slipped. Like he kept slipping. They got him. What they said, they drafted Mississippi State quarterback Tommy Stevens. Number 240 though. I mean, it was late. They got a tight end from Dayton. I didn't know Dayton had a football team. I ain't no front.
Well, I mean, we didn't know they had a basketball team either this year. So
I forget they know Ohio.
You hear from somebody on that one.
Somebody on that one. Yes, we did know they had. How you know Ohio State?
yeah, they were. All to now you about to join the train.
But yeah, they got an A-. Between them and the Panthers, I mean, they don't draft 4 players. 2, y'all got them. One more team, Tampa Bay. They needed offensive linemen. They got a
Big Ten lineman
from Iowa.
Traded up and got him.
Yep, Tristan Wirfs. They got the safety from Minnesota, Antoine Winfield
Jr. Yep.
Junior.
I knew that, bro.
Antoine Winfield,
Yeah.
the original.
I saw that on Winfield. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. They took another Titans prospect we was looking at, Vanderbilt running back, Keyshawn Vaughn. I think he's pretty good. They also they got the wide receiver Tyler Johnson from Minnesota. I remember the other receiver, but I don't remember him. But I remember Khalil Davis from Nebraska. They got him also. So between the Buccaneers and the Panthers for their division, who had a better draft? So, woo.
Think wrong, think long.
I don't know, man.
Think
NFL gave them B+, but honestly, too, bro. Let me look through each other's. Shoot. You got a tackle for Tom Brady. You got an extra safety for the defense that was already good. You got another running back, Keyshawn Vaughn.
Are we really going to give them a credit for getting a rookie lineman to cover Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Yes.
Big Ten.
Probably one of the best linemen.
Right. Any Big Ten line.
But you know what, too? I mess with you. Y'all got the best player of all these teams in Derrick Brown, who I just think is going to be dominant.
Yes.
From day one, be productive.
I give you that.
There you go. I give y'all the Panthers the division. Y'all
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So,
and I know a lot of people, just a couple seconds, a lot of people are upset we didn't take Isaiah Simmons. I get it. But, I mean, Derrick Brown is somebody, like y'all said, can come and make an immediate impact. Like, we were, ranked 29th in running. So, what I think is, if we're going to go for defense, we got to stop the run. I think Derrick Brown does that,
Andy Reid said it best. You build in the trenches. So you get you a good defensive line, good O-line, and build from there. So that's a good start.
I agree.
Next division is your division, too, in my favorite team's division. So I swapped us on our favorite teams. AFC South.
Ain't no beef. Hey, ain't no beef. It's slick tighten up over here. They 3 hours away.
Slick tighten up.
Hey, I rock with the Titans. But salute to y'all. Y'all picking up Isaiah Wilson, who I guess is more of a project player. I'm not sure. You spend the first round on somebody who's a legit project. But I don't know how you feel about him. Is he a starter? You know what I'm saying? Is it going to take a couple years for him to come in and produce? I'm not too sure. But
I said the Savage.
Huh? What's that?
You see why I said the Savage in the group meeting?
No, what you saying?
You said, well, y'all need a tackle. I was like, STFU.
Neither one.
It was a bunch of other tackles that were available too, from what I read and what I saw. Right. And, you know, this is the one that y'all choose. It's like a legit project. So hopefully he does pans out, you know, especially as a first rounder. And y'all also got Christian Fulton. Solid pick from LSU, you know, a champion, 8th ranked corner. And then y'all also got, what's the running back name that y'all got?
I don't remember his name. He's from Appalachian State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Darrington Evans. I think that's I killed his name. But he ran a 4.41 on his 40. So y'all got a quick running back to go with Derrick Henry, which will make y'all, you know, legit in the backfield with that is if y'all want already.
Because y'all cut Deion Lewis, right? Is he gone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he'll definitely be a legit replacement. Like I said, a 4.41, you know, 40 time is
he returns kicks too.
Yep. Let me see. Quick one on Houston. They really ain't do too much. They didn't even have a first round pick. They end up going with Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle from TCU. You know what I'm saying? He's a project player, but yeah, I ain't got to say too much on Houston. They probably didn't know what they were doing anyway. They were probably just getting trucked the whole thing. Indiana, they also went without a first round pick. The Colts, they drafted Michael Pittman Jr. from USC, one of the taller wide receivers in the game, and you know, pairing him with T.Y. Hilton, they'll be good. It just depends on who they got throwing the ball to him. And they also drafted Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. 2,000 yards the last 2 years, and he was 23 yards away, you know, his freshman year from having 2,000. So pretty much 2,000 yards in the last 3 years of his college career is pretty legit. Indiana did a really good job picking them too. And they also picked a quarterback from Washington in the 4th round. So like I said, we really don't know who will be the starting quarterback at this point. And also, let me see, finishing out Jacksonville, who had 12 picks.
Jesus, they actually pretty good job.
Yeah, I think they had like the most picks. I gotta relook at that. Minnesota. Yeah. How many Minnesota have?
15.
11
after the 3rd round.
Minnesota stacked up, but they already got a lot of starters anyway. But going on Jacksonville, they got, I guess, arguably one could say the best cornerback in the draft, but I'm going with Okudah from Ohio State. But they got C.J. Henderson from Florida. Of course, they got to find somebody to replace Jalen Ramsey because he's out of there. And they also got Clavon Chasen, outside linebacker from LSU, championship winning, knows how to win, consistent player. And the thing is, they didn't take a running back to replace Fournette. So maybe Fournette comes back. Maybe you don't. We still don't know, and we probably won't know until, I guess, training camp. But salute to Jacksonville. They end up picking players from my 2 favorite colleges, U of M and Texas. They got Chris Claybrooks in the 7th round and Colin Johnson, the 6'5" receiver from Texas.
So, don't sleep on Chenault either, bro. Like, go look at Chenault highlights. That dude, he gets hurt, but that dude is so serious.
So if I had to pick a winner, it'll be Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go Colts.
Yep. The Titans fans, we was looking like every time the Colts made a pick, we was like, damn. Like, you know, that's the team that we, you know, that's our kryptonite. So it's between us two, man. Yeah. I think also I'll probably say Jacksonville had a slight bit of drafting us too, but it's Jacksonville.
Yeah, they had a good
I don't trust Jacksonville too.
And I don't want to pick based on biases because they picked the Texas and the Memphis players. So, you know, I go Indiana.
I think overall, just as Titans fan, after the second day when we drafted 14 Darrington Evans, I felt better about even the first day pick. And I think we confirmed, we'll know tomorrow afternoon, apparently, if Jadavian, I think we ain't drafting no edge rusher, and that pretty much sealed the deal because Seattle drafted edge rusher. I heard Jadavian Clowney going back there. So between us and the Jets, and I'm just gonna be honest. Let's be real.
Y'all finna get Jadavian, bro. Like y'all looking real good to you know to make it to the next level. So let's see, tighten up.
Okay, so next up, NFC West. Who is that? NFC West.
I had the NFC. Go
ahead. Here we go.
Well, I had to do my homework on these teams. I don't even look at these teams like that. Exactly. But no, y'all just got done talking about Jadavian Clowney. The first team that I pulled up was the Seattle Seahawks. And their first 2 picks was a linebacker and an edge rusher. So, so to your point, I mean, it doesn't. You kind of read between the lines. It's just necessarily doesn't look like Jadeveon Clowney is going back. So
I thought they traded up for the edge rusher too.
And that's Seattle's
Yes,
MO
they
though,
did.
too. Like
Yes.
Seattle likes to draft.
yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing, and I'm necessarily not a fan of draft breaks because people, just as you think that you're right, you can also be very wrong about them too. So that's my intake on it. But at the end of the day, I mean, Seattle went with their first pick in the first round. They took, of course, the linebacker from Texas Tech, Jordan Brooks, and then took an edge rusher from Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
Darryl
Darryl Taylor, shout out.
Yeah, so if you just kind of look at their draft picks, you just kind of, I mean, this is just what the Seattle Seahawks do: linebacker, edge rusher, a guard, a tight end, a running back, a lineman on the defensive side, a wide receiver, and a tight end. So that just kind of speaks to exactly how they drafted. So if I had to grade it, I would say a C. But a lot of times the Seattle Seahawks they typically do well on drafting whoever they draft. So that's what I would say about them. Next is the San Francisco 49ers. I absolutely love what they did because with their first pick in the first round, they went with Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. I think he was probably the second best defensive lineman in the draft. So you traded Forrest Buckner to the Indianapolis Colts, and then you turn around and pick up one of the best linemen in the draft. So you basically swap DeForest Buckner for somebody cheaper
For years.
Exactly. So of course then after that they go Brandon Ayuk. Wide receiver from Arizona State, and I kind of looked at his tape because I thought my Steelers needed a wide receiver. He's not necessarily one of the biggest wide receivers, but he's pretty physical. And so you kind of look and see how if you kind of look at the makeup of the 49ers wide receivers, they were kind of pretty big and kind of physical as well too. And of course they signed Jawan Jennings from Tennessee. So I definitely thought I would point that out. After that, the Arizona Cardinals drafted my boy Isaiah Simmons. That's my boy now. That's my boy. I can't be surprised he fell to number 8, but at the end of the day, he went to somebody. And I think there's somebody that the Arizona Cardinals absolutely need as they're trying to make noise in the NFC South to get a. I'm sorry, NFC West. NFC West. Sorry, what did I just say?
South.
To make noise in the NFC West, I mean, to go get a player like Isaiah Simmons, who can pretty much play all 3 levels of the defense, is astounding. And then also went to go get a lineman to protect Kyler Murray and Josh Jones. They at the end of the day, for the rest of their picks, address the defensive side of the ball, which I think was a good look. As like I said, you got Kyler Murray, you got what you have on the offense. Larry Fitzgerald, surprisingly, is still there, and then Savage's boy D Hop is still there too. So I think they did pretty well. And then to kind of end it for the NFC West, the LA Rams.
Ugly logo. I kept thinking it was the Chargers.
Yeah. Nothing about their picks is kind of stand out. They got Cam Akers from Florida State. Got wide receiver Van Jefferson from Florida. Terrell Lewis from Alabama. He's pretty good. But
Stay hurt.
Yeah, there you go. Stay hurt. So outside, I mean, nothing about the Rams just kind of stood out to me. But if I had to pick a winner, I would probably go. I'm torn between the 49ers and the Cardinals, but if I had to pick, I would just say the 49ers just because at the end of the day, you traded DeForest Buckner, and you get Javon Kinlaw, again, one of the best defensive linemen in the draft, and then you turn around and get a wide receiver right after that, after they made the trade with the Philadelphia Eagles to trade. Who was the wide receiver they got for y'all? They gave to y'all? Marquise Goodwin. So the 2 trades that they made in the offseason, they immediately addressed that issue. And that's how I always look at it as a general manager. What did you lose in the offseason, and then how did you address it in the draft?
Who got Trent Williams?
The 49ers.
Yeah, 49ers. Feeling this. So the 49ers would definitely be my pick. Then right after that would be the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay. So next up, I guess anybody got any thoughts? NFC West.
I like Isaiah Simmons with the Cardinals is going to be crazy. Like, we know that the Cardinals can develop defensive players. We've seen it with Pat Pete. We've seen it with Honey Badger. Former Eagle Jordan Hicks went there and went crazy. He had like 120 tackles, So you got Hicks on one side and Simmons on the other side.
Have fun.
Tackling machine, man.
They still got Chandler Jones.
Yep.
There you go. Watch out for
crazy. Yeah.
I'm trying to make some noise.
Yeah,
they are.
They are.
All right, Sheep. AFC West partner.
Oh, I got a lot to say. Let's begin with the Chargers. I went in,
Go Chargers. Go.
yeah, I went in order of like kind of worst teams to best team. Chargers got Justin Herbert, which
Woo, terrible.
Yes. I didn't want to say terrible. I wanted to say horrendous.
They would do a little dang.
As a pick, because I don't believe you could have got somebody else at that 6th pick besides that to address a quarterback issue. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. So Justin Herbert. Now I did like Kenneth Murray as a linebacker because they're going without Thomas Davis, who led the team in tackles with 112. So that's a great plug right there for Kenneth Murray. Joshua Kelly from UCLA as a running back. Okay. KJ Hill from Ohio State. I had to mention that, right? But they did address like a slot receiver. I still think they need to get one. I'm not sold on their quarterback. Their defense, they didn't address the defense enough for me. By that, I mean defense had 11 interceptions and 30 sacks last season. Of those 30 sacks, Bosa had 11 and a half. Melvin Ingram had 7, so that's 18 and a half sacks. You didn't address the defense enough, in my opinion. But they did get Chris Harris from Denver.
Yeah.
And so interceptions could go up a little bit more. And I look to them have a better pass defense. I think you can still run the ball on them a little bit better than what people expect. But I think their pass defense is going to be much improved. Not so on the passing offense, though, at all. It's Tyrod Taylor, Justin Herbert,
Oh, man.
Thomas from Wendy. Doesn't matter. But, like, they don't have, like, a quarterback that's really going to scare me, right? And you have quite possibly the worst quarterback in your division right now.
Quarterbacks.
Yes.
Quarterbacks, yes.
But again, the one thing I did like about them was Kenneth Murray, to be honest. For getting that pick, that was a great pick at 23rd. I think is the best move that they made.
Please talk about the Raiders next.
And the Raiders are next. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please.
Henry Ruggs, great pick. Didn't know. Yeah, I'm sick at great pick. There were some other receivers
They love fast receivers.
available.
They love the fast ones.
Yeah.
Darius with Bay, just think.
Yeah.
Zero hands.
Yeah, so I
Sorry.
I think Henry Ruggs is better, but just think.
I mean, hey, he left his hands. They were bringing up his hands in Oakland because when he got to Pittsburgh, Jesus Christ.
Nah, he didn't have fans in Oakland either.
Who?
Darius
Harris could fly.
He got to the Steelers. Bro left his hands in Oakland or something because I was like, bro, like,
just in Maryland.
He left them just in the womb. I had 0 hands coming out the womb.
Yeah, stupid.
I came out the womb, no hands.
Just head.
Hand
Like, I'm sold on them getting a wide receiver. I think there could have been a better option than Henry Ruggs right there, but I'll take it. Of course, they got somebody from Ohio State, so I don't want to mention too many names from Ohio State. But Damon
might as well.
you're right. And so they got the cornerback that they needed. To me,
how many receivers they get for one? About 5.
Well, Lynn
Only
Bowden
one.
played wide receiver and quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
Receiver.
Yeah,
Right.
but he's going to be a wide receiver. So 1, 2, 3 out of their 6 picks were wide receivers. The one pick that I really actually liked was the 3rd round pick with Tanner Muse from Clemson as a run stopper. He's not. You're not going to address like the pass defense with him.
They love Clemson in Las Vegas, man. They got Renfro and other guy, the lineman last year.
That John Simpson also got there. He was in the 4th round this year with them. But to me, he was the best pick that they made, along with Brian Edwards, receiver from South Carolina, big wide receiver from South Carolina. I think they need a good slot. Someone I give you, it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Let me get there.
Got plenty of them. Got Hunter Renfrow already.
Right.
Got about 10 receivers on the roster.
And they got dumb quarterbacks. And they only scored 37 touchdowns last season with that, but also allowed 33 touchdowns. So something's got to give for the Raiders. I know they were on the cusp of getting into the playoffs last season. This draft doesn't take them there at all. And they got a corner that was like 5'4", Amik Robertson.
5'8", yeah. We thought about taking him.
Yeah,
I'm almost taller than him.
well, almost doesn't count.
That's not the funniest thing you'd have said all day, dog.
The Broncos, to the point that we made about, I'm not sold on their quarterback. I'm just really not. But it is what it is. But Jerry Jeudy immediately, which was a great pick for them, if you ask me. KJ Hamler from Penn State.
We're going to see if he this year. We're going to see.
Yeah.
He got some weapons.
Too many.
KJ Hamler was good.
And Melvin Gordon there.
Yeah, and Melvin Gordon also in the backfield. So, like, they have a lot to work with. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name from Iowa. Michael O.J. Simpson.
What?
Ojemudia?
I don't know how to say his name, so I'm not going to be wrong. But his last name is O.J., and there's a lot of words after that. So,
What?
And you call him a killer name?
Huh?
None.
But the thing that sold me about him was his size. He was 6'1", cover 2 schemes going to work out for him. But again, not so on their quarterback at all, but they were 28th in passing last season. And I didn't like it, just to be honest. Then we go over to the Chiefs. Super Bowl winners. And to be honest, I mean, picked up where they left off. Clyde Edwards at running back. Again, I think there could have been some different options at running back, even in the first round.
He's perfect for them,
though. Yeah, right. But he does fit what they're trying to do and will do.
So he's apparently building a Brian Westbrook.
I saw that. Don't start. Don't start.
Man, Brian Westbrook used to kill us, by the way. I think the best pick that I saw from the Chiefs really was Willie Gay, Mississippi State inside linebacker in the second round. 6'1". And they also got Lucas, offensive tackle from TCU in the third round. So they really addressed some things. They finished 26th in the league in rushing yards per game. So I'm hoping that Willie Gay can help that out. And you're doing it for free, right? You're not really paying him too much money. And you don't have to sign nobody. So, like, the Chiefs are right back to the drawing board, if you ask me. The rest of the picks will fizzle out, but they didn't really need too much. They just won the Super Bowl. So, to me, I think the winner of the AFC West, you can kind of go Raiders or Broncos. Because of what we've been talking about with the Broncos, I'm not so on their quarterback. They got a lot of weapons for the Broncos to make an offensive power push. So I'll give you the Broncos at 1A, but I think the Raiders are really at 1B with some surprise picks that we'll see moving forward in the later rounds.
Okay. So Broncos, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It would be Broncos. I agree, Broncos. I think just look at the draft. I mean, like I said, I wasn't sold on Drew Lock when they drafted him, but he had a good – once he came back from injury, he had a good second half of the year. But, like I said, no film on him. He didn't play until the end of the season run. So we'll see next year. They gave him weapons. Like, signed Melvin Gordon, drafted 2 receivers, and you already had Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant. So, hey, we'll see next year on Drew. They definitely saying we're going to see if you quarterback this year. Second round pick from last year, so. And then
they also got they got a center from LSU in the third round, got an offensive guard in the 6th round from Fresno State as well for the Broncos. So they are, to your point, they're also on this Drew guy, but I'm not.
They lost Chris Harris. But they replaced him with the guy from AJ from the Jag.
AJ Bowie.
He ain't the same, is he?
Nah, he not.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he ain't the same.
Nah, nobody's the
same. So that's where I stand. But I say Broncos 1A, Raiders 1B. Let's see.
Okay. So NFC North, Trevor. So.
All right, thank you, my kind sir. I'm just gonna
Hey, good background.
For the sake of the podcast, I'm just gonna save Green Bay Packers for last because it's everything what they've done is just so egregious. But I'll definitely start with the Bears. They didn't have a first round. They didn't have a first round pick this year, obviously because of the deal that they made with the Raiders to get Khalil Mack. So they took their first pick in the second round to draft Cole Kmet from Notre Dame. solid pick, but I don't think you need to add another tight end to your squad, especially now that you have 10 on your active roster at this point. Jalen Johnson from Utah was a solid pick from them. They got some decent value in the later rounds with Travis Gibson from Tulsa. And there's a lot of hype going around the league with this guy, Kendall Vildor from Georgia Southern. And then the rest of the picks was just wide receiver and filling out the offensive line. Moving on to my wifey's Detroit Lions. Of course, they got probably the best corner in the draft, best athlete in the draft in Jeff Okudah from the Ohio State University.
Why you say it like that?
As an SEC guy, I think they're getting some great value at running back by taking DeAndre Swift from Georgia. They also did a good job of filling out their offensive line as well as their defense. Especially they're going to get a huge boost on defense with Okudah, seeing as they were tied for last in interceptions and they also gave up the most yards. I do have a question for them as far as wide receiver. They took in the later rounds on day 3. They took Quintez Cephas from Wisconsin. Wasn't a fan of his 40 time. He ran like a 4.7, which as a wide receiver is definitely not good. Like as we all talked about on the last podcast with Percy Harvin, you got to have somebody with some speed going there. And then of course, he had his questionable past with him having 2 sexual assault cases while he was at Wisconsin, which led to him being dismissed from the team and then later reinstated. But apparently, Jeff Okudah, his new teammate, says that Cephas gave him the most trouble while they were in school together. So I guess maybe we'll just see what happens. And, of course, we'll see what happens with that when Stafford gets back. On to the Minnesota Vikings. They took their the draft pick that they got when they got rid of Stephon Diggs and immediately replaced them, taking Justin Jefferson. They loaded up with all of the draft picks they had in day 3 with just an immense amount of depth in the secondary at corner and safety. Just to name a few, they took Jeff Gladney from TCU. They took Harrison Hand from Temple. They got Cameron Dantzler from Mississippi State, just to name a few. And then, of course, they addressed the offensive line and defensive line as well. And, of course, lastly, the Green Bay Packers, who basically had, obviously, a need at receiver for Aaron Rodgers. They also had needs on the trenches at both offensive and defensive tackle, and they also had a need in their secondary. None of their picks addressed any of those things that they needed. Of course, they drafted A.J. Dillon from Boston College. Of course, they signed our guy, Patrick Taylor from University of Memphis, so shout out to him for that. And then, of course, the most egregious one is them trading up to 26 to take Jordan Love from Utah State. I much need not to say more on that. We've talked about it on the previous podcast. But obviously, the clear winner as far as the draft in this situation is the Minnesota Vikings. Taking their pick that they received from getting rid of Stephon Diggs and immediately finding his replacement with Justin Jefferson was nice. Just loading up with their secondary, loading up with their in the trenches as well in the offensive line. It was just solid all across the board. I know we wasn't talking much about grades, but they got an A on NFL.com. So clear winner there was the Minnesota Vikings as far as who had the better draft in the NFC North.
Yeah, when you have 15 picks, I mean,
you got to hit on somebody.
Yeah, you
got to hit on somebody.
You got to hit on half of them. So, yeah, shout out to the Vikings on that, helping out Toots boy, Kirk Cousins.
Kirko.
Why does he have a nickname?
That's it. You know, you
always had a nickname, bro.
That's fine, but why does he have a nickname?
Don't matter, bro.
It does matter.
No, it don't.
You got nicknames to anybody?
Don't question God's plan for people, bro. Just can we move on?
God didn't give him that nickname.
Right. I did.
But hey, we're gonna move on. Shout out to the Bears now drafted receiver over. So Anthony Miller. They think highly of him. He'll still be top 2 receiver. Apparently the Rams didn't think that way about Darrell Henderson, about drafting Cam Akers. So we'll see what happens. Had to mention Memphis players. Anybody else got anything?
No,
We talked about the Packers.
Yeah, we talked about the Packers, but I'm still just absolutely just like I'm pissed at what they did. First of all, they drafted up to get Jordan Love, and they didn't need to. Like the 2 or 3 teams that was in front of them absolutely did not need a quarterback. So I don't understand why you do that. You were literally 1 game away from going to the Super Bowl, and you don't even address the offensive side of the ball. Like, don't even look at that side of the ball. And that was the reason you lost. Like, got blown off the field, and you don't draft a wide receiver. You don't draft a running back. You don't even draft a lineman for the man. Like, it makes me mad.
They did draft a running back, but they didn't need a running back.
They drafted a running back.
It makes me mad, bro. It really makes me mad when organizations do that to like a specific player. When you have somebody to their talent and you just don't help them at all. Like, it really makes me upset that they did that. And again, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you see what Minnesota did. Minnesota absolutely killed it, and you just got to be like, damn, like, I'm going to keep losing to these folks every single year. It's a division rival.
To piggyback on your point, in the wide receiver heavy draft,
Yes.
they can select not
That's the thing.
not
Crazy.
Higgins.
outside Devontae Adams. Who?
It's
They got?
here's
I know the names.
Devin Funchess.
here's the nugget with that.
Why?
It's a shame that, you know, when one thing works from someone else has to try and copy it. So apparently, and this is definitely read the article on it, go look it up when you can. So the Packers GM basically felt seeing the formula that worked for the Titans as far as expressing much emphasis on the run, he felt that may be the same thing, which is
You got Aaron Rodgers. What are we doing?
Words right out of my mouth.
The Titans went to running the ball.
Right.
So Ryan Tannehill's Aaron Rodgers then was what we're saying. Okay.
That's basically what
We still took a receiver though. AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah. That's why I say I don't think it was Matt LaFleur. I think this was more the GM wanted to put a little bit more emphasis on the run, which is stupid because again, you got Aaron Rodgers. Like, give this man some receivers.
Matt LaFleur did come from the Titans.
Oh.
It is true.
That didn't work. No. I hear what you're saying.
I'm saying he came from the Titans. I'm sure he probably put in the GM. I'm sure it still go back to Matt LaFleur.
Yep.
It still go back to Matt LaFleur.
Yep.
Did the Bears get a quarterback?
No.
Yeah, Nick Foles, man. What you talking about?
Here's the thing.
He probably better than Jake Fromm.
They have, yeah. they did trade for Nick Foles, and they basically have until next Monday to decide if they're going to pick up their option on Mitch Trubisky.
They not.
I don't think they're going to do, because if that was to happen, Mitch Trubisky would have been making $24 million. So yeah, that's the Bears.
I gotta do Pittsburgh now.
Savage. Hopefully Nick Foles can get Anthony Miller the ball.
He'll throw down the field. Better than Trubisky.
Oh,
He got 10, so he'll be all right.
Saying a lot coming from me. So.
All right, let's move forward to the AFC East. Savage.
All right, so we're going to start with the Buffalo Bills. They drafted A.J. Epineza from Iowa, solid defensive end. Got a solid running back in Zach Moss from Utah. And they also got Jake from State Farm from Georgia in the later rounds. I'm kind of curious about Jake Fromm because, I mean, a couple of years ago, he was supposed to go, head up with Tua in terms of, like, being a top pick. As a matter of fact, I think ESPN had an article in 2017 that said that Jake Fromm would be like a first-round pick, something like that.
Number one,
right. So
Damn.
there has to be some level of talent there with him. So I don't know if he'll push Josh Allen in any way. But, yeah, they got an A from NFL Network. I think it's solid. They were already a pretty decent team. I would like to see more. I know they got Stephon Diggs, but I want to see more weapons for Josh Allen. Miami, in my opinion, got the best quarterback in the draft in Tua. My hope is that they sit him for a year, or at least as long as they can before taking out Fitzpatrick. But I think Tua is going to be pretty good. They beefed up the offensive line, got 2 tackles, one from USC and Austin Jackson, one from Louisiana and Robert Hunt. God, they had a lot of picks. They had a lot of different picks. They drafted corner. They already got like 2 of the top corners in the league right now. So you got another corner at the end of the first round from Auburn, Noah whatever his name is, I don't know.
It sounds about right.
They also got Alabama's D tackle Raekwon Davis. We know about Alabama in defensive linemen. So yeah, overall, I mean, any draft you get your quarterback, that's an A+ in my opinion. So I think they did pretty well. The Patriots, clearly they are punting this season. They drafted a cornerback, Kyle Duggar, from some college. I don't even know where it's from. Lenore Ryan.
College we know either.
Overall, their draft picks in general are a bunch of no names, which actually fits New England because they can make it work. They got Josh Uche from Michigan, but aside from that, nobody of consequence, to be honest. They did draft Dustin Woodard from Memphis, the center. So hopefully he does well there. But it's clear that New England is punting this season, and they're stockpiling picks to get Trevor Lawrence at some point next year. Next, last but not least, we got the New York Jets, who drafted Mekhi Becton. I don't know if y'all saw that man highlights. Yeah. But that's a big boy who can move.
Yeah. Which one was that one? That was
Louisville tackle. That boy can move. I don't know how I feel about him going to Louisville and being a lineman. Much rather him be a Big Ten lineman or SEC lineman, but hey, the highlights don't lie. They also got Baylor's wide receiver Denzel Mims, who I'm not a fan of because he's scared of Philadelphia. But that's a story for another day. They also got LaMichael Pirine from Florida, got the Florida running back. And they also drafted a quarterback, James Morgan from Florida International. But overall, looking at these divisions, the AFC East, I would say Miami because right now, in my opinion, you probably are going to have the best quarterback going forth for the next couple of years.
Injured.
That's banking on one, Tua not being injured, and then also if New England gets Trevor Lawrence, you know what I'm saying? But that's a crapshoot. We never know how this season's going to turn out. Who knows? So if I had to pick a winner, I would pick Miami based on the quarterback alone. If Tua can stay healthy and be who Tua is, he's got a chance to be special in my opinion.
Totally agree with you. To the pick about Tua, I think it was good for them to get to where they did because they didn't have to tank to get Tua. Two, they didn't have to draft up to get Tua. And so, like you said, if you got Sergio said Tua is better than anybody in that division. But if Tua is some version of healthy, right, for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like, well, not 20, but still 5, 10, 15 years, like, that's a win for you. Like, I think Tua, like you said, I think he's literally the best quarterback in the draft, hands down. I know Joe Burrow is there, but Tua, in my opinion, I saw him play for 2 years, was the best quarterback in the draft. So I totally agree with you. And then, like, the Dolphins have a black GM and a black coach. Yeah. They're probably going to be my second favorite team.
Black quarterback, black GM, black coach. That's a holy trinity right there.
So, of those teams, the Dolphins, I agree. Saying y'all know how I feel about Tua. Tua definitely knows how I feel about Tua because we know
y'all know how I feel about Tua.
Yeah. So, but like the Jets and the Bills were really close seconds. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
And really, honestly, the Patriots, they always draft nobody. So, honestly.
Right. I almost picked New England because it's New England. Like, they're going to make it work regardless.
Everybody.
Right. So, honestly, those nobodies, you probably going to know them in a year or two for real.
Right.
I agree. Really no argument for me.
The Bills. I think the Bills win that division. We're talking about the draft itself. I do like the Jets, but the Dolphins really won that draft. But I think the Bills are set up to win the division this upcoming year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's get to the NFC. So me, Trevor, and Skyler, we have to team up on this one on how we think the NFC East did. So which thing y'all hurts?
Let's start with the Redskins.
Redskins, all right. Let's talk Redskins.
Oh, y'all fuck it out, man.
One person. We got those other teams. There's somebody that's connecting those teams. So let's start with the Redskins. And actually, one of my close friends, Nigel, this is his team. So love the draft. Chase Young,
Don't say it. He from OSU. I ain't gonna say D. It's OSU.
First 3 picks.
Shout out to the 3rd round pick, Mr. Antonio freaking Gibson. Yep.
Yes.
Shout out to him, bro.
Hurt me because I want him to come, but hey, they got somebody special there. I mean, after that, I can't even lie to you. Y'all know the other names on this list. No. But I love the first 2 picks for the Redskins because one, you get Chase Young, who's probably one of probably one of the best players. I don't necessarily think he was probably one of the best defensive players, but that's just me personally. But you get Chase Young to add to the depth already what you have for the Redskins, and you just be like Philadelphia and like in Dallas, like in the Giants, y'all have fun blocking them because they got talent.
Look, we'll have fun blocking Ryan Kerrigan. That man, 40 years old, still getting off the edge.
Y'all have fun blocking that line. That defense, I really think if they hit on at least most of those picks, their defense is going to be. I don't care what you put in the backfield. I don't care what your secondary look like. That front four, that front seven is going to be.
What slept on with Washington is that one, you got Ron Rivera as a coach, good defensive mind. 2, Jack Del Rio was the D coordinator. Del Rio is a beast D coordinator.
He was.
Yeah. So y'all have fun.
Yeah.
And then of course to get Antonio Gibson, who everybody just said he's a Swiss Army knife. Whether you want to put him in the wide receiver, put him in the backfield, kick return, have fun because the man is good for a touchdown every time he touches the ball. So I absolutely love that pick for him.
Every 7 touches to be exact.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Trevor.
Just he pretty much hit the nail on the head. Probably, in my idea, Chase Young was probably the best player in the draft. So to get him at 2 instead of taking Tua, which a lot of people were talking that the Redskins were looking to do, was a home run in my book. We already know what they're getting with Antonio Gibson. It's almost like a redo for Ron Rivera because, like, Antonio Gibson is probably going to be another version of CMC going forward. So, but NFC East, have fun with that defensive line, with that front 7, man. That's all I got to say with that, with the Redskins.
All right. Let's go to the Giants.
There you go. Just thinking that.
Let's go to those niggas. Mr. Darren Jeans. I know you better be listening to this episode, my guy.
He is on to my Danny Penny.
Talking about the best draft of all time. What?
The boy said, he said this in the 2nd round and tagged us. Had the nerve to tag us.
Passed on Isaiah Simmons.
They might say hi. Hi, LBR Sports 901.
Passed on Isaiah Simmons.
The Giants have
That's a lot.
The Giants have had an amazing draft thus far. That is all. I responded with the Jim say, "Oh my God, that's cute." Well,
look, I don't personally. I don't like what the Giants did. They passed on Isaiah Simmons, who, in my opinion, was probably one of the best defensive players in the draft. And then, so they drafted an offensive lineman. I guess they probably
Georgia. They drafted Georgia.
But then they drafted a safety from Alabama, right? Here's my problem with drafting the safety from Alabama. Alabama, in my personal opinion, defense wasn't that good. So then why did you draft this safety from Alabama this early? Because last year, and you drafted a safety from Alabama? Darren, yeah, I hope he knows something more than we do. I really hope he knows something because this.
I mean, this is the same guy that called Danny. What's my name? Danny Jones.
Danny Jones.
Yeah. I hope he knows something because what I'm looking at ain't enough.
He said Danny Jones will be in the Super Bowl within this.
It's gonna get tonight. That's enough. We're not talking about that.
I'm just saying, he don't know. You think he knows something? This guy made the statement.
I don't.
Trevor.
Yeah, I guess. I'm actually with Skyler here. I'm kind of disappointed that the Giants passed on Isaiah Simmons with their 4th spot. It was cool that they took an offensive lineman, but I felt that they took the wrong offensive lineman. That was because they had a better one that was available at that pick at 4.
All of them.
The safety, pretty much. The safety from Alabama, I guess, is supposed to help their secondary. But again, like, as an SEC guy, like, when you played against Alabama, like, you could name 4 or 5 different defensive players from Alabama. You couldn't do that last season. And that's just how not that great the Alabama's defense was last season. So, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens with them going forward. But like I said, they definitely, in my opinion, should have took Isaiah Simmons with their 4th pick. Definitely.
Okay. Y'all want to do a coin flip for the next two teams?
We can go Philly next.
No, we're
We'll go
talking next.
No.
Because Philly won the division.
This is not your turn. This is not your turn.
Oh, he said Philly won the division. Hey.
I give respect when it's due.
Well,
True.
Trevor's got to run this.
Exactly. Nobody
Let's go to Philly.
Go to Philly next.
First thing first. I thought y'all should trade up to get the receiver. That was just me personally. Y'all, you should have got to trade him. Got there. I mean, but Jalen Reagor, he was. I saw him teach him last year. Very fast. He good. But I really feel like y'all can trade him. You got somebody, you got Jalen Hurts in the second round. And I saw some reports talking about y'all gonna play 2 quarterback system like the Saints, but it's gonna be on like even better, like on steroids. So y'all gonna actually play 2 quarterbacks. Let's see.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Waiting to happen.
Y'all trade for Marquise Goodwin? Yeah, I mean y'all keep getting these fast dudes run the receiver. I hope they can catch the ball. I know you wanted people that had hands, Savage. So I'm really hoping these folks have hands because dropping a little bit. Marquise Goodwin. I mean, he fast, track speed. Yeah. Hope they can catch. That's all I gotta say.
I hope so too.
Y'all do. If Carson Wentz gets hurt, y'all do have Jalen Hurts now.
There you go.
Y'all got Kevon Wallace, the safety from Clemson. Y'all got the linebacker from Colorado.
Your best pick didn't come to the 4th round.
Exactly.
Your best pick didn't come to the 4th round. Like Sharky said, I understand you wanted a wide receiver. I totally understand it. But to not go up and get a wide receiver, knowing that Dallas needed a wide receiver, and you just let them take it.
Yeah.
Let him take it. Golly. Then you draft Jalen Hurts, Savage. I mean, I'm a big fan of Hurts. No, please don't get me wrong. Second pick, dog. Quarterback?
Really?
Exactly.
You know what this say, Skylar? That the Eagles were in the need of a quarterback.
I don't want to say that. I'm a big fan of Carson Wentz.
I'll speak now. Can I speak now? Can I speak really quickly? Can I speak?
Before you go, one more time. Love Hurts. Continue.
Hold on. Trevor got to go before you go, man.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I'm with the rest of the guys. I really felt that y'all should have traded up to go get CeeDee Lamb. Why he fell to Dallas, that was probably like a match made in heaven, but we'll get to them in a second. Jalen Reagor is not a bad pick for y'all. And then, of course, y'all trading for Marquise Goodwin. That's great as well. The Jalen Hurts pick, I think, was not that bad of a pick. Of course, you guys are going to need a backup because I don't even remember who was quarterbacking for you guys towards the end of last season.
What happened to Sudfield?
No, Studfield was his name.
Studfield was his name. Okay, so this is what happened with Studfield. Studfield got hurt in the preseason. Broke his hand in the preseason.
I remember that.
And then we signed McCown. And then McCown, I mean, he's a veteran. He's probably the best you're gonna get with a backup. So
yeah. But yeah, just getting Jalen Hurts as a backup is probably not that bad of a pick. But now hearing that y'all going to use this 2 quarterback system, that's a recipe for disaster.
We're not. That's just like some BS flying.
That perfect tweet I saw when they said when Jalen Hurts lined up as a receiver and they had that video of Melo in the crowd.
So here's my quick spiel about the Eagles. Right. Overall, it makes sense as far as like how our draft went. So I'm gonna start with receivers first. I think 2 things. 1, we didn't trade up for CeeDee Lamb because it takes 2 to tango. We wanted to go up, but Atlanta wanted our 1st round pick, our 2nd round pick, our 3rd round pick. And Howie Roseman, the GM, said that we needed those picks to, acquire more talent overall. Because last year we only had like 6 picks, so we needed to get younger. Getting younger requires what? To draft players. So we needed our draft picks to get younger. So that makes sense. 2, really, we don't need possession receivers. CeeDee Lamb, he's not really fast, but he's more of a possession receiver. He can catch the damn ball. I showed y'all that video of him making a one-handed catch. We needed speed on the outside because Deshaun Jackson played 2 games last year. Balled out in the one that he did play fully, but the other game he got hurt against Atlanta. That was week 2. So we needed young speed, which we got in Jalen Reagor. We got speed in Hightower from Boise State, speed in Quez Watkins, who actually ran the 2nd fastest 40 at the combine. So I'm fine with that because primarily our possession receivers are Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, who Dallas won it last year, but we jumped them to get Dallas Goedert, but that's another story for another day. As far as Jalen Hurts,
Love hurts.
initially I was like, what the F? Because I'm like, we should have drafted a cornerback right there because Christian Fulton was there. A bunch of other corners was there. Denzel Mims was there. According to y'all, Denzel Mims was there.
Yeah.
So, but Doug Peterson said from the jump, even when we brought in Wentz, he said he wants to be a team that develops a quarterback. So if y'all remember when Wentz got drafted, we still had Sam Bradford. Like Bradford was going to go into the season being a starter, but Wentz was obviously the heir apparent. Bradford was prone to get hurt, you know. But with Jalen Hurts, I think what the plan is to kind of be similar to New England when they got Garoppolo a couple years ago. I think in the end of the first round or early second round, coach him up, let him ball out in the preseason, and then trade him to somebody like Pittsburgh who need a quarterback in about 2 years, or maybe even New England need a quarterback in like a year. You know, I still think that Wentz is going to be the starting quarterback, but as y'all would say, Wentz is prone to getting hurt. I'm not opposed to Jalen Hurts playing. Like, I got love for black quarterbacks, but I think it's meant to build up Jalen Hurts and then flip him for assets in the future. Would I have done that? No. I would have gotten him in the third round and been happy, but not a second round pick. That's a premium pick. That's a starter, you know. But hey, it is what it is. Fly, Eagles fly.
And that is why I feel like y'all gonna do that, but with opposite quarterbacks. I think Jalen Hurts is gonna be y'all starting quarterback in the next 2 years, and y'all gonna try to get Carson Wentz out.
I mean,
got too much
they've never done that with Michael Vick.
You got too much money tied up with Wentz. You can't do that just yet. Too.
Yeah.
You got too much money tied up in there.
Yeah, Wentz can't get out until about 3 years from now. Really 4 years from now.
It seems like y'all finna have a lot of dead money on y'all salary or something.
But I think either way it's a win-win because that means two things. It means one, Jalen Hurts has developed really well, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with it.
True.
And it also means that Wentz has value because he will have value from somebody. I mean, we got a first-round pick for Sam Bradford. Like come on.
That's true.
Wentz is worth at least a first, 2 firsts, and a third.
That's right.
I'm fine either way. I'm good. So on to the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, exactly. On to the Cowboys. Out of the trouble. So CD Lamb. Y'all didn't think they were deep receiver, but available. Shit, take them.
Why not?
Trayvon Diggs, Alabama. I actually think Fulton's better cornerback than Trayvon Diggs. But not a bad pick. But like go back to Scott's point, Alabama defense looked too good last year, specifically the secondary. Trayvon Diggs was getting destroyed against LSU.
He was not good last year.
Fulton was doing well against Alabama receivers. I mean, he was up there pressing Jerry Jeudy. So I mean, after that, do you know the other players on this list?
No.
Shooting.
Oh no, I'm looking at our later rounds. I didn't see the 5th and 6th and 7th round, but okay.
It looked like they got somebody last name is Badass.
Yeah.
Tyler Badass.
Think about these Cowboys.
Absolutely love the CD Lamb pick. Absolutely love. You didn't have to trade up to go get him. You didn't have to do anything. He literally just fell on your lap. So absolutely love that pick. Again, to the Alabama defensive players, not too big of a fan of them after last year. Like obviously this was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where you was picking up anybody from Alabama defense. Safe pick. But I don't know how I feel about this. How I feel about a defensive player from Alabama last year. But if I'm going to give credit, and I'm a fair person, if you look at the draft picks that the Dallas Cowboys had, they literally addressed the issues that they had. Wide receiver, boom. They had
two corners.
Two corners.
Tackle, needed a defensive tackle, took a defensive end, needed that, and then you took a quarterback out of James Madison. Good luck with that one. But I think if I'm gonna be fair, I think they did well. I think they did well.
Yeah, I really have nothing really negative to say about Dallas in this draft. Getting CeeDee Lamb was probably the steal of the night, not just for them, but just for everybody. With their picks, the rest of the way, they did address all of their needs. So I really have nothing to say here other than kudos. So.
I will say this, though. Drafting CeeDee Lamb means Dak Prescott has zero excuses. He has zero excuses.
He had zero last year, in my opinion.
He had zero last year. You got Mari Cooper on one side, you got CeeDee Lamb in the slot possibly, and then you got Gallup on the other side.
Jarwin, Zeke.
Your offense got to put up points. I will say that your offense has to put up points. I don't think y'all defense is going to be that good. I really don't think because I feel like y'all lost a lot.
I can't wait for that game. Ooh, it's gonna be. Ooh.
I'm glad y'all got CeeDee Lamb because Dallas and Pittsburgh. I'm there. I want a high scoring game. I'm with it. I'm with it. Good luck. See you in the fall.
Hopefully.
Cowboys.
Oh, I was ecstatic getting CeeDee Lamb, to be honest.
Do a petty move, eventually.
Yeah, and it could be petty, non-petty, for all I'm concerned.
Yeah. I'm for it.
To me,
it was payback rewarded though. It was payback because we got Dallas Goedert, so it's payback. It's payback.
To me, this pick of CeeDee Lamb makes me think of if we're going to continue this trend. And you're right, we didn't address defense the way we should have. I'm not sold on HaHa Dixon as safety, right? Because we just got him, but. Like CeeDee Lamb makes me believe that this becomes like the greatest show on turf again with the Rams, because the Rams' recipe for success was a whole bunch of offense and mediocre to even less defense. And the Chiefs, who just won the Super Bowl, had a lot of weapons on offense, and defense was
made plays when they needed to.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so I think that's kind of what I saw that's going. I agree about Diggs as corner, to be honest. The thing that I do like about Diggs is that he did play receiver before, so he's got some better hands. We were the last team in the NFL with interceptions. And so I do appreciate that part. I also appreciate, I think it's Bias. It doesn't matter. The center from Wisconsin, because we talked about this in the earlier podcast. We're without our all-pro center now, right? And that makes a big difference too when it comes to coverages. And to your point, Savage earlier talked about building from offense and defensive lines and building out. And if you don't have someone at center that can tell you, oh, this is the coverage, we should shift this way or that way, that takes less pressure off Dak as well. So I think that was also another steal that we had. But I mean, again, we all know the steal tonight was CeeDee Lamb. And so I'll take that to the grave with me. And that's it.
Okay.
I'm salty about that though. Still salty.
So let's pick our winner, Skylar Trevor. Who y'all think had to build a draft in the NFC?
I like the Redskins first two picks, so I'm going with the Redskins.
That's all we got to go with.
Somebody was trying not to say the Cowboys. I get it.
We got your right.
I want to say y'all, but
yeah, I mean, I can't lose.
Y'all have to steal the draft, but I think they had
no Redskins have been.
Yeah, their top two picks were really good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna keep it biased. That was a great draft.
Okay, well, y'all three turn AFC North.
Oh man, I got no.
I'm removing myself.
Got 13 minutes.
Yeah, I got.
Well, I can start. I'll go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I'm gonna just say the Bengals. I don't know who you got going, but I'm gonna take the Bengals real quick. Joe, of course, you know what was gonna happen there. I like T. Higgins at wide receiver. Logan Wilson, Wyoming, inside linebacker. He actually played DB in high school too. Good size on him, so he can pan out because they've lost a lot on defense too. They got another defensive player from Appalachian State, Akeem. My thing about the Bengals were they only scored 21 points 4 times last season. Pathetic.
Right.
But they also did this without A.J. Green. So now you got A.J. Green. You got
John Ross got hurt.
T. Higgins. And you got Tyler, who got 1,000+ yards last season. Now, the offensive line they didn't really address. They allowed 48 sacks last year. And so that's the one thing definitely I think the Bengals could have done a little bit better at for the Bengals.
Yeah. For some reason, I like Joe Burrow, but I don't think he's gonna do well in Cincinnati. I just get that feeling. I just feel that way. None like he's a beast in college, 60 touchdowns. This is you can't knock that. But for some reason, I just do not. I don't know. I just don't feel it. I don't know. Mm.
It could be because it's the Bengals and they so used to.
That might be the case. It might be the case.
Yeah. And seeing them win is like, huh?
I mean, they've won in the past with Palmer and slightly Andy Dalton, but
it was so long ago.
I think like Joe Burrow, the fact that he just had like 1 year of just success, it kind of like it feels like Jamarcus Russell's 1 year of success at LSU. Oh. I don't know. I don't know. But I'll do Cleveland. So Cleveland, they drafted Jedrick Willis from Alabama. I think that's pretty good for Baker.
Yeah.
They got a safety, Grant Delpit, who I thought was probably one of the best safeties in the draft from LSU. They got a D tackle from Missouri, linebacker from LSU. And with their last pick, they got Donovan Peoples-Jones, who was he was number one wide receiver coming out of high school, and then he was a combine freak. I hope that him going to Cleveland so late gives him motivation because his size is like ridiculous. He's like 6'5", I think, and ran like a 4.4 or something 40. It was something crazy. But give that to Baker to get better with the receivers. I feel like they did good. I mean, Baker needed a lineman, needed a tackle. The defense was already pretty good. You got one of the best safeties in the draft, and Grant Delpit. So I feel like Cleveland got better. I'll reserve my comments as far as like them winning the division. But I think Cleveland overall had a quiet, good draft. Nothing was too flashy outside of Peoples-Jones from Michigan.
Man, look, we've been smacking Cleveland around since Moses Parker is. I ain't worried.
I'm not worried about the Cleveland Browns whatsoever. They can do it. They can do whatever they want to do. I'm not worried.
Can the Steelers shut up, please?
We're doing Pittsburgh last. That's what we're doing.
Y'all worried about this next team they're about to talk about?
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Do your thing, bro.
Go ahead.
Do your thing, bro. Let's get on these Ravens, dog.
So let me go to Baltimore. Baltimore.
Ravens had.
I love their draft.
They might have the best draft.
Love
it. One of the best drafts.
Honestly, bro, Titans fans, we feel like Baltimore coming for us.
They are.
May was like Derrick Henry is time.
and don't forget about Campbell, right? So you got Patrick Queen, right?
Monster.
Probably a great pick. J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State, which I think once Ingram is 30, so the shelf life for running backs, that's it. They got Justin. I wrote this wrong. I just wrote M from Texas A&M for defensive tackle. They got another inside linebacker from Ohio State, Malik Harrison. Great size.
Don't skip Duvernay from Texas. Don't skip Duvernay.
Yeah.
Speed on the outside.
I got the defense, yeah. So
okay.
Like the offense, yeah.
Duvernay.
Yeah, Duvernay, wide receiver. For a team that only had 1,419 yards receiving, I'm sure he can help out graciously. But to your point about the Titans, they were 21st against the run last year. So adding Queen, adding Harrison, Campbell, and somebody else, I can't remember off the top of my head, was exactly what the Titans are hoping that they didn't do. But the Ravens did address those issues, if not in the draft, in the offseason as well. And so I think, honestly, the Ravens that.
How does Baltimore keep getting these dope linebackers, man? Like, who does the AFC North just allow them to get the linebackers they want? Like, they done had Suggs, they had Ray Lewis.
It's one thing I'll give the Ravens credit for. It's their ability to, like, develop their linebackers, too. Like, they'll have a key free agent here and there, but they develop their linemen.
Mosley was there for a second.
Really well. Like, I don't remember. I can't name a time where you're like, dang, the Ravens linebackers suck this year. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. So, Baltimore, I think Baltimore probably had the best draft out of this division easily because you already got the MVP. You already got Harbaugh's a good coach. The Ravens are known for their defense. I can't remember the time they had a bad defense. It's been about, I don't know, like they've only been – this
last
like,
year was their down year. Like, that was their
and they still was good. Number one seed.
Exactly.
All right.
So starting off, I do got to give my last joke about Jalen Hurts. The Steelers did have a chance to get him, but they didn't. And I think that's somebody that y'all definitely should have prioritized is getting a.
They're gonna trade for him next year. They're gonna trade for him.
Prioritize. Yeah, I mean, all right. Y'all gonna keep rocking with Big Ben until he can't play no more, probably at the end of the season. But who knows?
Yeah.
But no, y'all end up getting Chase Claypool out of Notre Dame, wide receiver. Yeah, you going, and I'm reading that he's like inconsistent. Right. Possible slot receiver, but like I said, inconsistency on y'all first pick because y'all didn't have a first pick. Of course, y'all traded that for Minka, who definitely planned out well. So I guess that
Yeah, the first
helps with the grade, but you know what I'm saying, going with an inconsistent wide receiver and then, you know, coming back and getting an outside linebacker, Alex Highsmith from Charlotte. You know, shout out to y'all on that one. And then coming back, and y'all got a couple picks from Maryland, Anthony McFarland Jr. and Antoine Brooks Jr., running back and a safety. I don't think y'all got better this draft, you know. I mean, but y'all didn't get any worse, so it's like y'all got.
That's how drafts are every year. It's just like
it's every year. It's like nothing that just jumps out at you. It's just like
if
these people.
except the year we got Devin Bush. Except the year we got Devin Bush, and we traded up.
When we
and Watt,
up,
TJ Watt.
TJ, yeah.
It's like if y'all were at 8, you know, y'all just moved to like I guess an 8.2 or something. It's like
I am not a big fan of Claypool. Like I'm just not. I don't know if y'all seen Notre Dame play. He does nothing for me. Nothing. Like he has production that shows. I see nothing. Nothing.
I looked at his college film and it was just a bunch of like slants, like our cuts. Like I was just like
tight end on the highlights.
Exactly. You know?
Which is funny because at the combine they had him work out with the tight ends. So kind of interested to see if we're gonna just.
Did y'all need a tight end? Like I don't.
No, they got Eric Ebron.
Know what I'm saying?
Eric Ebron.
Y'all need speed. Y'all needed speed on the outside. Y'all don't need a slot receiver or a tight end. Like what is this?
I need a second receiver.
Yeah,
because Juju was. In my opinion, with Juju, he got exposed last year. I mean, he got hurt true enough, but I feel like he didn't show number one receiver talent at all. Like he was just. How many like TDs did he have? Like 2, 3?
No comment.
I don't know.
It wasn't a lot.
Now,
it wasn't a lot.
To his defense, I don't know who's throwing the ball either.
Exactly.
That's true.
So,
First 2 weeks was Big Ben, and it was
Savage. I ain't seen no more potential, but I just need we'll
that's
see
true.
Big Ben back. That's really there.
our receiving core is actually pretty young too. So while Juju hasn't shown that he hasn't shown that he's a number one guy, it's still there. The talent is there. James Washington is actually pretty good as well. So this receiving core is actually pretty young. So I'm interested to see what's going to be the move going forward with that receiving core. So.
Y'all are very interesting because y'all had a lot of injuries. I mean, James Conner, Juju hurt.
It's funny, despite the injury, despite the injury,
right?
If the new playoff rule was in place, we'd have made the playoff.
That's a whole nother score for me.
Congratulations.
I mean,
and wait, y'all controlled y'all own destiny. Y'all lost the last 2 games and missed it.
I mean, I told y'all we was relying on the duck.
I'm saying with all that, y'all still right there, like y'all control y'all own destiny with the last 2 games left in the season. It's like
we had the duck quarterback in the team, so it's
So since we ain't got that much time left, we just put our poll on Twitter. I already got our each division who we picked to win. That's the draft winner. So I do a poll, 2 different polls, AFC winner, NFC winner with those 4 teams on each one. Just put out Twitter poll for the fans to vote on, and us, of course, to vote on ourselves. So
okay.
But that's the end of this episode. 2 episodes this week. Double dip.
We put out some content.
Yep.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Let's go. But till then, peace.
Peace.